have not had the opportunity to meet me yet, my name is Retief, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Hubly. Before I tell everyone what Hubly is, can we just get a quick show of hands who's heard of Hubly before this presentation? All right, so what Hubly is we're working to revolutionize practice management for financial advisory firms. What that means is we're bringing task, workflow, and process management all into a singular visual workspace for financial advisors and their teams. We integrate directly with your CRM, so you never have to rekey client data into Hubly. If you've ever looked at tools like Trello or Asana or Monday.com, you can think of Hubly in a similar realm, but purpose-built for this industry. Now, my presentation is not going to be about Hubly at all today, but instead it's actually going to be about what we've learned as a team at Hubly from helping advisors and their teams complete over 100,000 workflows for their clients in the last 2 years. We've learned a lot of amazing insights, and hopefully I'm going to help you guys learn a little bit about your business today and how you guys can scale your advisory firms. There are going to be 3 core themes that I'm going to be focusing on. One is, what are the key process flows that you need to be able to scale your advisory firm? Talk about key process flows in a second. How we can further address the talent gap in the industry with better training and onboarding for your team. And 3, how fundamental innovations in the technology stack that you're using is continuing to drive a rapid innovation in your firm's back office. That being said, we're going to talk about key process flows. Just quick show of hands, who has heard of key process flows before today's presentation? Couple hands, maybe like 5 people. The definition of a key process flow is the objective is to help you standardize and optimize your processes to help you and your team get a better understanding of how your business works. Now, to explain a key process flow, I'm actually going to build what we observe is the average key process flow for how advisory firms function. Now, when building a key process flow, it's really important to think about the inputs and outputs of your business and the actual functions of your business. And so if you look at most advisory firms, your business is going to start with your marketing function. Your marketing function is going to bring in leads, referrals, prospects into your sales process. Most advisors and their teams have a sales process where you're doing a discovery call with clients, you're understanding their pain points, and trying to figure out if you can actually help their finances, or more importantly, if they're a good fit for your services. With any good sales process, you're hopefully going to close your clients, you're going to get them set up in your billing accounts, and obviously get them to sign a contract. As with most advisory firms are moving towards, after you sell a client, you're kicking off a pretty intensive financial planning process, where you're doing data gathering, goals meetings with your clients, understanding their vision for their future of their lives, and essentially building out a financial plan to help them achieve that. What happens throughout that process, we generally see it take about 2 to 3 months, is you're identifying opportunities to provide services, value, or advice to your clients. And we see a lot of those things directed to the back office to execute on. And I'll talk about the back office in a second. After the financial planning process, ultimately, those financial plans end up moving your clients towards a success or a retention model. Now, most commonly in this industry, you're going to see a client review meeting model, either quarterly, biannual, or annual meetings that you run with your clients. A lot of firms are moving towards doing surge meetings, or there's different types of models that you're using in order to retain your clients. But the real goal of this retention process or review meeting process, once again, is to just identify opportunities to once again provide value, advice, or service to your clients, which once again is directed towards your back office function to execute. So what is the back office? Hubly's been working to define this concept of the back office that I think is quite unknown or is not properly defined yet. We see the average back office basically have 3 core responsibilities. The first one, which is probably obvious to most of you, is investment management. A large part of the job today is still helping your clients manage their assets. Opening up new accounts, portfolio rebalancing, risk analysis, transferring accounts, helping with RMDs, Roth conversions. The list goes on of types of work that you're doing for your clients. It normally involves repetitive, boring paperwork where you're writing into paper sheets. And ultimately though, these do provide value to your clients and you're executing on those services for them. The second thing that back office does is what we at Hubbly have defined as case management. These are projects that you're executing for most of your client niche that you service. For example, we have an advisory firm in Seattle who specializes in working with people who work at your technology companies, Amazon, Microsoft. And so one of the most common cases that he manages is helping with ESOP planning. And so depending on the client niche that you service, there's going to start becoming repeatability in the types of projects that you help with. This is estate plan reviews, divorces, insurance reviews, helping with home purchases or home sales. It really depends on the client that you service. But the really effective advisory firms that start scaling are the ones that can standardize how they deal with case management. Last but not least is at Hubbly what we call triaging your client service requests. Now, service requests are the really boring, tedious, and administrative work that you have to do for your client base that only increases in volume as you scale. As your client base increases, you're gonna have to start placing more trades, you're gonna have to update more beneficiaries, you're gonna have to deal with more address changes, more bank account updates. These are generally very boring data routine tasks that need to be executed to a high degree of quality. And if you don't have proper systems established to triage and deal with those, they're gonna drive you nuts, and these are the things that normally fall through the cracks. And so if you can start thinking about your back office and some of these core functions that you're doing, ultimately the goal of any back office is to deliver value to your clients. And so you execute on these services and deliver them back to your clients through your retention process. And ultimately, those success stories are communicated back to your marketing function, which starts the process all over again. We'll pause there. Take a moment to take in the key process map. By a quick show of hands, who has ever designed a key process flow for their business? I would recommend taking a picture. I saw a number of cameras going up of this key process flow, and take this back to your team to have a discussion about how your business functions. Now, key process flows are important for three key reasons. One, they're gonna help you understand the key inputs and outputs that drive your business. They're gonna help you identify bottlenecks and optimize processes across your firm. And most importantly, what we see key process flows help with the most is they're gonna help improve ownership and accountability for processes or functions across your team. And so when you're looking at that key process flow, it's actually important to figure out who on your team sits where in this and who's responsible and accountable for what type of work. Which brings me to our second key theme here. Hiring, this is probably one of the most competitive hiring markets we've seen in the world in all industries, not just this one. And so we see some of the most successful advisory firms are addressing the talent gap with proper training and onboarding processes for their teams. And what we're seeing the most successful advisory firms do is they're investing into three core strategies. One, they're using key process flows to essentially establish clear accountability frameworks for new team members that they're onboarding onto their team. And I'll share a story. Danny on the screen there came to Hubbly with a problem. They basically had one person on their team who was the owner for building, designing, maintaining, and using workflows in their CRM. And so they actually had a massive key person risk around, their whole business was reliant on one person. This person could never take time off, they could never go on holiday, and most importantly, really affected long-term business value because it was all centered around a key person on the team. And so they came to Hubbly with that problem, and we worked with them very closely to help basically develop workflows that are gonna help their whole team become really accountable for processes that they own. And so here's a quote from Danny after her and a team have worked with us for several months now. With Hubbly, we have the ability to now teach people so that when you're going to do a new task, there's information to learn how to do that task, It allows us to work with people in different locations and provide really excellent documentation for processes that they're responsible for. Danny and her team run primarily remotely. They've been working with scale, and with Hubly in place right now, anyone on the team can take a vacation and someone can step in and do their work for them, because they've developed really awesome key process flows for who's responsible and accountable for what. The second strategy that we are seeing some of the best teams invest into is investing in the training resources, documents, and processes that empower new employees. And I'll share another story. This is Justin Chidester, founder of Wealth Mode Financial Planning. Justin came to Hubly with a problem. He's hit his capacity wall. He hit about 50 clients as a solo advisor, and he wasn't sure what his growth options were. He knew he wanted to grow a bigger firm, but he wasn't sure if he wanted to hire people in-house, if he wanted to outsource, and so he wanted to look at his options. And so we started working with Justin, and we tried to really understand what type of business is he trying to build and what is he passionate about. What we learned through that process is that Justin was really passionate about services and clients to a high degree of quality, but more importantly, he was really passionate about training young people in the industry on how to deliver good financial advice. And so with that vision in mind for his firm, we worked with Justin closely to basically help design workflows and processes that will make it really easy with how-to guides and training videos to get new people up and running in his firm. And with that, Justin, now every 6 months, is bringing in 3 to 4 new interns that help him run and operate his business. Directly out of college, no experience, but because he has invested in the workflow system, he now has the capacity to hire interns because he's invested in those good workflows and procedures through Hubly. And so imagine running your own business right now and bringing in 3 to 4 interns to deliver the quality of service that you want to deliver without workflows and procedures. It would be near impossible. But Justin has done this and has done a really, really good job at it.
How long did that take?
It took Justin about 6 months to really iterate and improve the workflow processes before he was able to onboard those interns. But Justin is next level when it comes to workflow management. There's very few advisors we see like him, but it's a really cool inspiration around what you can achieve if you want to. And that brings me to the last core strategy. This is an interesting one, is hire more females onto your team to help your firm succeed. I'll say that again, hire more females onto your team to help your firm succeed. We conducted some research, and we found that more than 55% of users of Hubly identify as female. And this is primarily a male-dominated industry, or perceived as a male-dominated industry. However, we're seeing the most scalable and the most successful advisory firms are hiring females onto their team. Bringing females onto your advisory team are having 2 core effects we see. One, these firms are providing a more comprehensive relation-based service for their clients, and so they're doing more for their clients. And 2, they're actually investing a lot more into streamlining their operations and making the back office employees, administrative staff, operations staff, customer service staff a lot happier and productive. And that is really important if you're going to build a successful firm. This is obviously a huge topic. I'm just introducing it right now. We've written a lot of content on this, and I'd highly recommend checking out our blogs about females in finance at myhubly.com. We're going to continue doing a lot of research into this topic, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore today, but I think it's a really important trend that we're seeing emerge, and we want to put a spotlight on it. Awesome. Which brings me to the last topic here, which is innovations in technology are continuing to drive a reinvestment into the financial advisory firm's back office. What do I mean by this? So we looked at Michael Kitz's technology map. I'm assuming everyone in this room have heard of Michael Kitz's. This is actually a map from 2017. You guys can still see all the logos on there of the different companies that are part of the technology landscape. This is 2021. You can barely see a single logo on there, which is probably why Kitz's is starting his technology directory, is because this has grown like crazy. In 2017, there was 86 companies part of that map. There are now 298. That's a 360% growth in newly added technology companies onto Kitz's map. And that doesn't include the technology companies that have yet to start and the ones that have not even been recognized on the map yet. It's no wonder managing a technology stack is terribly annoying and difficult to do. We thought this was really interesting, and so we're like, okay, what is driving this rapid innovation in technology, and what is resulting in that? And so we looked again, we did a deeper analysis of the 100,000 workflows that we've helped advisory firms complete. And we're like, where are the highest volume of workflows? And is there a correlation between the highest number of workflows and processes that are executed and with the technology that is basically being started in the industry? And we found some interesting things. Here is a map of the most commonly executed workflow categories for advisory firms. I'm going to break down each of these categories and actually show you the highest volume workflows in each category. But here is an interesting percentage chart of how the average advisory firm working with Hubly actually functions. As you can see, about 26% of the work they do on a day-to-day is related to client meetings. I'm going to break down each part here for you guys, and I'll put the chart back up afterwards. But starting with asset management. The way we've defined asset management and the highest volume workflows that we see executed are reallocation workflows, trade requests, risk analysis, rebalancing portfolios, some sort of money movement workflow, contributions, RMDs, etc. Those types of workflows make up about 8% of the work that you do on a day-to-day. Account opening, probably not a surprise here, makes up about 13% of the work you do on a day-to-day. Opening up new accounts like Roths, IRAs, 401ks, doing account transfers is a big one, 529s, etc.
How do you collect this data?
We collected it from our product, and we ran a lot of it from our workflow product, where advisors are naming workflows, and then we're basically looking at the data across all the types of workflows that are executed in advisory firms, trying to understand how does the advisory firm function. Continuing on, another small segment that we see growing is providing some sort of insurance services. Most commonly, we see insurance reviews being done, but a lot of advisory firms are actually helping clients get access to insurance products, if that's life, disability, P&C, or annuities. Estate planning is another one that we also see growing, is helping things with like reviews, settlements, trusts, divorce, or even helping with client deaths is some high volume workflows that we see on our platform. This was an interesting one. Tax planning and prep had a massive segment across our user base, which came to a little bit of a surprise as to how big it was. But I was sitting in Bob Veras and Joel's session, and I think the growth in new tax planning and preparation software and the adoption of that software really speaks to this. Most advisory firms nowadays are starting to continue to differentiate themselves by providing tax planning and prep in-house for their clients. And so common workflows, filing, prep, planning, tax loss harvesting, QCDs, list goes on of high volume workflows that are executed in Hubly. Client meetings, this is probably an obvious one, but client meetings make up about 6% of the work that you do on a day-to-day. This is doing reviews, scheduling, preparation, follow-ups. And it really boggles me sometimes when we talk to advisory firms and 25% of the work you do on a day-to-day, but they're still manually scheduling meetings instead of even using scheduling software. And so think about your highest volume workflow categories and how can you start driving efficiencies in those certain areas. Ops and compliance, obviously an obvious one here, but these are kind of general one-off administrative tasks, ADV filings, IPS, etc. Client onboarding, probably another obvious one, but once again, you need to build more efficient onboarding processes. These are things around prospecting, lead gathering, onboarding, account setup, contracting agreements, etc. And last but not least, we've called it financial planning, probably not a great definition for this category, but we just put all the miscellaneous one-time financial planning services that we're starting to see different niche advisors provide. That's ESOP planning, Social Security, Medicare, doing beneficiary updates, college planning, We just kind of bucketed all of those into financial planning. But once again, we're going to continue evaluating some of these workflow categories and how we can better define how advisory firms actually operate. So that's the workflow map. So the way we're looking at this, we're like, well, that's crazy. There's all these disparate technologies that are used to manage all of these different workflows. Some of it's done in the CRM, but more commonly, we still see sticky notes flying around offices, helping advisors basically stay on top of all these services. And I think the main message I want to communicate here is that you need to realize as a financial advisory firm, you are providing one of the most complex services under the sun. You're not just helping someone, with something simple. You're actually managing people's livelihoods, and you need more technology in order to be able to do this. And so we see our role as Hubly is how can we actually help stitch together this really complex service that you're providing, helping you guys become more efficient so that you can provide these services to more people. The way we actually measure our success as an organization is how many end clients are we helping our firm service. And that's a really important metric that we track week over week is, are we actually helping increase access to these really important services so that more people can get access to them? And so I'll close it off there. We're gonna have lots of time for questions. Some of the key things that I want everyone to walk away from here today is build key process flows that help you understand the inputs and outputs you need to be able to scale your back office. Continue to address the talent gap in the industry with proper training and onboarding processes for your back office teams. And 3, invest in technology to support your back office team and make them happier and more productive. As you can probably see by today, most of the work done in advisory firms is going to be executed by your back office team. And it's really sad to see that there's too much technology built for financial advisors when most of the time you're actually just interacting with a client. And as the owner and firm operator who's generally an advisor, don't skimp on technology for your back office team. They're the ones that are going to help make you a lot more scalable and allow you to service more clients. And so invest into technology for them. If you do miss us at the conference and you want to find out about Hubly and your kind of growth options for your firm, you can schedule a call directly with our team at myhubly.com. We do something that's called a strategy call for free with anyone who's interested in learning more about Hubly. In the strategy call, we really try to understand your firm's existing processes and workflows, and we try to advise on your best options for growth. We don't necessarily sell Hubly on that call. We are happy to continue the conversation, but we're just trying to advise you on how other firms have scaled depending on your vision and what you're trying to accomplish. And so feel free to book a call. And so with that being said, I'll open it up to questions and just say thank you so much for having me here today.